Namaskar, good morning. Suraj Singh, civil engineer, chartered engineer, professional engineer, professional engineers, talking from Faridabad, Bharat, India, regarding SHE, safety, health, and environment based on considerations of science of ergonomics, which is very significant subject, not understood very well, but requires to be understood. Very important. Use of energy, use of best practices in that accidents be provided, injuries be, accidents be, you can say, prevented, and best work, safe work, and acceptable work, not harming anybody, has to be worked out, carried out. For everybody, safety is very important if you consider it. And if you do not consider it, it's nothing ignorable. This subject is not directly related to each professional or person, but its impacts are directly related to everybody. You may be whatever age, whatever occupation you have, wherever you work in profession or you don't work in profession, you work in common life. Safety is your intruder. Safety is your enemy if you don't maintain it. Safety shall not ask you that I welcome accident. If you are ignorant, you shall meet accident or injury. Nobody has to tell you that. Even nature doesn't tell you when there is thunderstorm, when there is rain. You have to take care. You have to know that what's life. If you do not know that, either you have to be used to that, to precautionary measures, acceptance, or you have to lose something this way or that way. This is life. Work is work, conduct is conduct, ethics is ethics. If you are smart enough, clever enough, intelligent enough to foresee what can happen to you based on whatever activity you conduct is appreciable. If you anticipate something and take corrective measure on that, you can be called a smart worker, a smart professional. And if you cause accident, ignorably or knowingly, you cannot be called a smart person, but a person who is not efficient, who is not proficient. You may work well out of 100 activities. If you cause accident in one activity, you get negative credit, debit, of course. But experience teaches everybody. If your experienced one means pragmatic one, if you know problems and before problems can be your guest, you can take measures to correct that or to prevent that. That's required simply. No need of explaining 50 pages. Safety is a must and must, and it's not profession or discipline of some specific person, but for everybody. You have to be considerable about that. If you do not have consideration, you suffer. Certainly you suffer. It's like that. For example, in cold you have to wear good clothes. You can say insulated clothes like coats, like sweaters, or else you suffer. Same thing applies in summer. If you don't wear good clothes, you will be impacted by ultraviolet rays. Where it's more than 10, it's between 5 to 10 index being UVI, you have to suffer. You can't stand in sun. So that's also a part of safety. If you are just walking on road blindly, you will stumble. Some tree branch it shall impact on you. Some vehicle shall impact on you. That's what I'm saying. It applies everywhere. Do not ignore it. It's not your job, my job. It's a part of job. There is no separate assignment for safety or health. It's an integrated part of whatever activity you conduct. You have to take care of that. It's activity. And we spend a lot of money, lot of work, lot of time, lot of hard work from many people, from many resources for safety and activity. It is very important to understand why I'm telling all that. Before that, I go further. I would like you to listen to something which is very significant in our life, and that is just listen to voice only. I cannot show you because there's a question of copyright. You listen to voice of this. This program was produced in Germany. Some of work practices are different from practices in the United States. This is a video I'm giving you. Diabolo for this is just the title of the video, not that. And this is regarding safety issues.
All the available technology. Construction is very hard work. Lifting and carrying construction materials constantly and everywhere. Holding heavy machinery. Stooping and bending all the time. Working overhead or kneeling down. Strained from early morning into the night. In the heat and cold. In the rain and covered with dust. To top it off, there's the noise, the hectic pace, the stress. Making these jobs easier and safer. And above all, avoiding or at least reducing tasks that pose a health risk is the key to occupational safety and health. And it's the whole point of ergonomics in construction.
Ergonomics.
Today, ergonomics plays an increasingly important role in construction. Around the world, researchers at universities, in government, and in the construction industry are looking at how workers perform tasks and studying the effects. The scientists do this to fit the jobs to people through the ergonomic design of the workplace, machinery, and equipment, and through changes in behaviors and work practices. Beginning with the handheld wedge and the invention of axes in the Stone Age, through the evolution of individual tools over the centuries, to the ergonomic computer-aided design of industrial aids such as an abrasive cutter. Today, the spectrum includes a saw, for instance, with a blade that has teeth of differing sizes. The fine teeth make the first cut easier, while the coarser teeth make it possible to cut through the piece quickly. Another example is this gadget used by a floor tiler. Using this tool, the tiler no longer has to do the job on his knees. With the aid of a vacuum lifter, he can lay tiles one after another while standing comfortably. He can lay the tiles quickly and they fit exactly. And then there are more complex solutions, like the cab in a construction vehicle, which was designed not only to help do the job, but also to meet the needs of the person sitting in it. Because the person who works in an ergonomically designed cab is more efficient and more productive. All those who work in construction are exposed day in and day out to many types of stress that have to do with the nature of the job and the type of technology used in performing the job. These stresses are the result of working conditions that apply to a particular job, plus the overall conditions on the construction site. Workers are exposed to many different kinds of stress. Physical stress, for example, straining the muscles and the spinal column, lifting and carrying heavy loads, working under cramped conditions. Mental and psychological burdens, particularly in stressful situations. Vibration stress, for instance, brought on by working with a jackhammer, where vibrations and sound waves can damage the hands and hearing. Stress from exposure to various forms of radiation, including the ultraviolet rays that result from welding, but also stress caused by inadequate lighting and radiated heat encountered in road construction. Climate stresses. Heat and cold, drafts and moisture in the air are more than just discomforts. They are also sources of stress. Stresses from hazardous substances. For instance, vapors coming from solvents, dangers that are often underestimated. These different types of stress are not usually isolated during a workday. They are mixed together, affecting the worker as a complex of stresses. Because heavy physical labor is typical in construction, we'll concentrate here on physical stress. It's
Well,
important to know that no stress affects everyone in the same way. For instance, a job that's difficult for an apprentice may be easy for an experienced worker, like child's play. And in situations where a tall person can reach a ceiling with no problem at all, a short person will have to really stretch. On the other hand, where a tall person would have to stoop down, a short person can work in relative comfort. We can see clearly that because of an individual's distinct characteristics, when the same stresses are present in varying cases, the effects may be entirely different, and that when evaluating a job, it's not just a question of weighing the stress, but it's the effects of those stresses that's so important. Every stress has a measurable effect on the person doing a job. In construction, physical stress and its effects are quite common. This should not cause any problems, as long as working conditions are okay, or at least reasonably acceptable. It gets to be a problem when employees are so severely stressed, so affected by stress factors, that the job suffers and the worker's health could be in danger. That's why industrial hygienists and other researchers go to the construction site to record work practices and levels of stress. In clinics, doctors specializing in occupational medicine examine workers to detect the effects of wear and tear, and to determine if there are health effects from job stresses. In a biomechanics lab, mock-ups of typical working situations are made as realistic as possible, and then analyzed. Studies like these and their results are needed to help improve working conditions, redesign tools and equipment, and change work practices and the work culture. Here's a common problem that affects everyone and that everyone is familiar with. It affects the back. If too much stress is placed on it, or because of normal wear and tear, the vertebrae can shift until they rub against each other and wear at the edges. The discs loosen and shift, causing painful pressure. The result? Lumbago, or painful sciatica. If a disc's cartilage tears and the core puts pressure on the nerve, that's a slipped disc, and the result can be anything from severe pain to paralysis. To keep disc damage of this kind from happening in the first place, ergonomic studies of the spinal column are being done that relate specifically to construction. In these studies, lifting, as it's done in the building of a masonry wall, for instance, can be studied in detail, and the stresses that result can be calculated. Such calculations form the basis of a program that can offer custom-tailored suggestions to each individual, explaining the proper way to lift heavy loads. All this knowledge and experience yields practical do's and don'ts to prevent painful injury. Single loads that are very heavy should be lifted from a crouching position with the spine as straight as possible. Turning should be done with the whole body, and the load should be kept as close to the body as possible so that minimum stress is put on the disc. This advice about crouching doesn't apply to lighter loads such as bricks that are always being lifted, because because going into a crouching position for this type of lifting would put too much stress on the knees and hip joints. When lifting and carrying, distribute the loads across both arms if possible. And if it gets too heavy, don't be tough and risk an injury. Get someone to lend a hand. Teamwork can make tough jobs easier by keeping distances as short as possible and keeping bundles smaller and lighter. Of course, there are now industrial aids to make things easier. Today, there's a huge variety of machines and devices on the market, some in Europe and some in the United States. We'll demonstrate a few of them here, as they are used on the job every day. With this stair climber, for instance, loads that are as heavy and bulky as a disassembled boiler can be lifted by one person, one step at a time, and transported farther without a problem. The worker doesn't have to lift or carry any heavy loads, doesn't tire as quickly, and stays healthier longer. This working scaffold, which is moved and put into position with the help of a motor, improves the mason's working conditions. In the workplace, the scaffold has proved how practical it is. The mason can work in a position that makes good ergonomic sense, and can, for instance, shift large blocks without getting worn out all at once. Even in public works, there are now machines that make it possible to move whole layers of sidewalk sections from their stacks to where they're going to be laid, where they can then be positioned with precision to within a fraction of an inch. By making good use of mechanization, the job can be made easier and efficiency can be increased. Constantly working overhead or in a kneeling position is exhausting and can even lead to illness because the spine, the joints, and even the muscles are put under great stress. The muscles, among other things, are the producers of strength that stabilize our skeletons and make physical labor possible. They're made up of many muscle fibers that contract after they receive an impulse message from a nerve. For the muscles to be able to work, the blood must deliver oxygen, the source of energy, and carry off waste products. In the case of work done while moving around, the muscles contract, then relax again. In this way, they're supplied with plenty of blood. In the case of work done in one position, muscles are always contracted, the blood flow decreases, and the supply of fresh oxygen and the removal of waste products isn't what it should be. The result? Rapid fatigue and reduced efficiency. For this reason, ergonomics has been looking at jobs that involve holding objects and staying in cramped positions for long periods of time. For instance, ergonomics looks at the muscular stress resulting from holding a power drill above shoulder level. These studies led to the building of this drill rest, which makes drilling into ceilings much easier, making it possible to drill one hole after another without tiring. Then too, there's the realization that short breaks yield big benefits. They interrupt the stress and prevent fatigue from setting in too quickly. Here are some other behavioral guidelines to combat long-term stress in cramped positions. If you're painting, for instance, don't paint overhead for too long a time. Don't paint a ceiling all at once. Alternate with another painter. Changing activities shifts the focus of the stress and enables you to be more efficient without harming your health. Another example, when laying tiles or other types of flooring while on your knees. It's a good idea to stand up once in a while and stretch to get out of that cramped position and take the strain off the spine. Of course, The knees should be protected by suitable padding. And last but not least, it should be possible to cut the tiles while you're standing up without having to bend over. That will relieve the stress from time to time and make the job easier. Iron workers have to bend again and again to tie in the steel for reinforced concrete. This constant stress can be avoided by an iron tying device. When fitted with steel clamps, the unit weighs just about 4.5 pounds, and it's easy to work with. Without having to bend down at all, the iron worker ties in the iron of the upper part of his ceiling quickly and securely. With this laying machine, sheets of insulation are attached to flat roofs. The worker works in an upright position, which is ergonomically better than the alternative. This approach relieves stress from the worker's back, shoulders, and arms, and helps improve efficiency. Even in masonry jobs, there are many possibilities for sparing the back from constant bending and stooping. Often, all that is needed is a simple device, like this frame. It's easy to turn around, and in this way, the bucket of mortar is held higher. The mason can keep working in what is a more comfortable position. Then there are mason scaffolds that can always be adjusted to the proper position. They're equipped with 2 platforms of differing heights. The masons stand on the lower one, and the mortar buckets and the bricks are placed on the higher one, so that they can be reached easily, and so that the back is not subjected to excessive stress. And finally, for facades, mobile rising scaffolds are available, which may be raised to about 325 feet. These scaffolds can transport the masons with their materials and equipment. The platform is brought into the proper position, right down to the last couple of inches, and it has 2 levels, so that no one has to do any bending. The upright position makes work easier and increases efficiency. We have seen a few examples of techniques that can be used and of industrial aids that have proved their value from an ergonomic standpoint. Development is ongoing and will bring new solutions to familiar problems. If we are to solve these problems, the employer must provide available tools and fulfill a responsibility to protect the health of the employee. And all workers must use ergonomically designed tools that are provided and use the tools correctly. By designing the workplace to meet the needs of the people working there, working conditions will be improved. Workers will remain healthy. Work at the construction site will be made more efficient, and above all, the work will be more attractive. That is and continues to be the essence and purpose of ergonomics in construction.
Ergonomics. Thank you, video. Yes, intentionally I could not show this video because of copyright issue, but voice you heard. URL of this video is already posted on text of this video. You can go and download this, or you can watch that video. So simple. Ergonomics was very important part for this serial of safety, as I'm interested in and you are interested in, because it's not very well known subject in our country, but it's practically applied everywhere, and we are also doing many activities, but we are not able to analyze and understand, document that. We are not documenting people, we are just trying to do, we call it jugaad or whatever you call it, and we do that. We have to just modify this, amend this, and you can say systemize that one. System is very important. We could not systemize anything so far, and when we don't systemize anything, we don't have any method, don't have any procedure. That's very important thing. Ergonomics is very significant part of safety, health, and environment, and we have to get it. And I talked to you already about this in four pages, which were actually just I inform you what I did. I had talked to you about ergonomics in construction. That was about Washington University in Sunday. I just talked to brief on this, and I'm not going to talk it anymore for that, because I told you what ergonomics it, your definition was, and what about what they think, what's the MSD on that, and All these issues I talked on that. And just say another one is there. Then I talk to you about, you can say, uh, detail of this one that's called OSHA, OSHA solutions to hazard solutions to control hazards, which were spoken about. And I also talked to you regarding, we can say, this is Journal of Ergonomics, uh, role of ergonomics for construction industry safety and health improvements. I conferred with you this one, and also I conferred with you about CDC, that is Simple Solutions Ergonomics for Construction Work, and at length I talked to you about this ergonomics for construction, in which various activities were discussed, how the what solutions are there, and various pages, various sheets were talked of, which generally covered major and minor activities on sites. And it was regarding means for example, simple solutions for floor and ground level work, which included fastening tools that reduces stooping, motorized concrete screeds, rebar tying tools, kneeling creepers, adjustable scaffolding for masonry work. And in simple solutions for overhead work, we convert with width extension shaft for drills and screw guns, extension poles for powder, activated tools, spring assisted drywall finishing tools, pneumatic drywall finishing system, and in simple solutions for lifting, holding, and handling materials, lightweight concrete block, pre-blended mortar and grout bulletins delivery system, skid plates to move concrete fill hoses, vacuum lifters for window and sheet materials, simple solutions for hand-intensive work, ergonomic hand tools, easy hold gloves for mud pans, power caulking guns, reduced vibration power tools, power cleaning and reaming with a brush, snips for cutting sheet metals quick, threatening lock nuts. And these were there we discussed. I'll move further now. I close these files because these files are not. I'll go to some previous standard talks of this, and that is about, can say, about our safety issues, which I have been discussing with you during all these days. What is safety? What about safety? And as I said, it's very important in our life because safety is part of work, and in construction all over the world in generally, we are a developing nation and more on us. About 70%, 60% our budget goes to activities that involve development, such as housing, roads, bridges, development of cities, industries, factories, and where whatever else. Means we have to spend our funds onto that. And if our funds are not spent rightly, we spend money, but we don't consider safety as a part of it and quality as a part of it. We do not get returns for our money, as well as we are not safe. If we spend money and we let people let people kill themselves due to lack of safety and due to accidents, it is not satisfactory state of professional affairs. We have to take care of people, we have to take care of equipment, and we have to take care of safety and quality. Those are very serious issues. There is no meaning of professionalism if we cannot control these two. Not only here in this country, everywhere it is a requirement. As far as quality is moving higher and higher, safety is moving higher and higher, but practically there are deficiency everywhere. Books are there, the methods are there. But if you don't care for books, if you don't read books and understand and apply, if you don't care methods or procedures and apply, there is no meaning of that literature. That becomes a literature only, not a practical material. It should be a practical material rather than literature. If you know something and if you don't apply that, you ignore that, There is no meaning of that value. There is no meaning of that say, wealth. It is wealth. Knowledge is wealth. Knowledge has to be applied. We have to understand that. We are doing all activities. We are working in factories, in industries, and real estate everywhere, and we are ignoring this. Ignoring safety and quality both. This is not quality talk, but quality. Safety itself is a part of quality. If you are not working safely, means there is a flaw of quality. Quality doesn't stop safety, it supports safety. And safety supports quality. Both support your work everywhere. Examples are many. No need of explaining all time and repeating all examples. Small examples are there. You are driving, you are not wearing seat belt. You are walking, you are not taking care, you stumble. You are driving scooter, motorcycle, you are talking on mobile. You are neither safe nor quality driving. Driving should be qualitative, just like food should be qualitative. You have to say care should be qualitative, work should be qualitative, your life should be qualitative, standard should be qualitative. Similarly, work should be qualitative, and quality of works or on works is the accumulation of all these activities. If you construct a building and there 4 people die during construction, what does that mean? It means that you are careless, you don't have human values, you don't have equal values, you have no values at all, you are a devil type person. You have to be a professional. Duty of professional is to manage properly according to systems, according to requirements, according to optimization of energy, according to upgradation of people, not because allowing people to kill. No, that's not acceptable. It is not simply in my country, I am saying it's all over there. People spend money but ignore. Money is not saved but lost. If people die, if your machines are wasted, or you can say short circuited, and something else, the fire occurs, it's all wastage of time, money, and resources. We are sitting in office, we don't know when there's short circuit. Why they should short circuits? Because there was some problem in quality and safety during work. So it happened. What I'm saying is, it's very important. We have to be specific in consideration. It used to be, it is right of work as well. It's your right to be safe. Work, right of work is that should be safely done, safely conducted, as well as qualitatively done, quantitatively done. Quality, quantity, safety, reliability, durability, serviceability, all are in same line. You cannot simply isolate either of them. You say, I have done this work this much, I have done X quantity, but out of X quantity, half of that is not qualitative. What does it mean? It means you have done half only, half is not qualitative. Quantity is more than quality. Why? Management says quality and quantity should move together, supported by safety. This is your definition, you can say. Not necessarily that I should tell definitions of books. Why should I read books? Well, my mind is book, my experience is book, my personal understanding is book, and that works. If quantity and quality are together, supported by safety is required. And of course, economic is consideration. You have to consider economically. If economical is fine, it's very nice, most welcome, there's what's required. Means you may say that I'm talking of enhancement of cost. No, not at all. Safety doesn't mean you enhance cost, as quality doesn't mean you enhance cost. Not at all. It's a misconception. If you talk, some people are talking too much of safety, talking too much quality, isn't that? You are going to increase cost of my work, my building, my proposal. No, at all, not at all. I ask many questions to people. Tell me where you are saving money. You are constructing a building or you are constructing a project. You are saying that I am going to increase your cost. Tell me where you are saving cost. People has no answer. But that profession, I don't know. But if you talk about quality, my cost. Tell me how shall it increase? You are not taking care. That's it. You are spending cost. You are doing bad work. Then you are repairing that work, and people are also impacted upon. Where is saving? You are spending more than required in reality. You have to take that into consideration patiently and with analysis and with circumstances and with existing situations. You have to consider that. Only then, now safety, you say, oh, A safety challenge is cost. Tell me how shall it is cost? If you wear hard hat, if you wear safety shoe, if you wear glasses, or if you have good ladders on site, and all safety scaffold, good scaffolding on site, protection on site, good, you can say, drinks at site for workers, where are you increasing cost? All these expenses would be done otherwise. And if some accident happens, some person dies from height and falls and dies, what you say? Are you not going to pay compensation? Are they going to spend money on medical or other treatment? And your other people will be psychologically impacted, affected, and they won't be happy to work there. But under compulsion, they will work there. This means you are going to impact upon their minds. They will not be that serious in work. They will all time, oh, maybe it happens to me. Consider that way. Don't be don't be open to stupidity. I call it stupidity because ignorance of safety and quality is stupidity. You have to be careful, but you are not careful. That's what I said. Construction projects have been required since times immemorial. More than 50 to 60% budget is covered on development works, which involves construction projects pertinent to all types. Engineers from all disciplines work on such projects. Millions of workers contribute to such development around the globe. Engineering has been very significant part to successful delivery of such projects. In fact, generally not very literate workers or qualified workers are involved in this world of construction. Many accidents have been experienced on many projects, the reasons of carelessness and neglect of work, and you can say inefficiency of supervision. Everyone is interested to do a fast work or to deliver it very fast, at risk of personal attention, and not caring for life of others, machines, etc. And this anxiety leads to accidents. And it's a feeling to make delivery at appointed date, and it defects in quality and safety measures due to nervousness and not because you're doing professionally. I have personally observed the works are not given due attention that's expected of from safety and safety point of view. The safety is to significant of such works, but it's not given value is strictly complied with. And the incidents have been reported regarding collapse of crane booms and scaffoldings and many other proprietary items on various prestigious projects around the world because there was a lack in safety and lack in supervision. In the plant's facility, safety care is intensely ensured. After so high level of safety care, bad incidents do occur. Understand my duty to share all this experience with you. It's very important for dissemination of safety as well as quality requirements to all those professionals and non-professionals so that they at least take care if they are not very much professionalized. Included with this is there 35 talks that I've made and also ergonomics that I have made. These are very important for you people to get in, and these statements are there only for indicative purpose, not for specific applications that you can develop yourself. Many safety management systems have been included from various point of views which are required to be understood. All activities could not be included because I don't have all activities. I have tried to include in this whatever I learned in my field during my 35 years of experience in engineering and management profession. Chapters have been based on actual work and not on imaginations, and these have been tried to so that you get as much as possible from this support, and hope you enjoy this. And I would like to say that publications of safety quality are not very much available around the world, and it's not easy to publish all this because first of all professionals who are in engineering will be working day and night to work and who have too much experience of this work, they don't have time to write, and writing is very important for dissemination purposes. You cannot talk to each and every person in the world, but you can write something so that it reaches to a group of people and they can at least go through it. Even 20% of the people can understand this is a successful presentation for you because you got some people to understand them, so that at least they can take this seriously in their work. It's not because you have to go to royalty, you have to go to get royalty or something, because it's just to support the professional community among which you have been brought up, and purpose is just to teach people what it is for this, whatever experience you are, you can disseminate experience a part of CPD or continuous professional development. And you have I have many other you can say materials regarding safety and design and engineering, and you can say whatever else. I'll try to share with you if I get time, and this is very important for you to understand that don't waste. Try something. Try to you can say share what you write. It may be not necessary. It should be very professional. It can be common writing, and you can share it. Only not necessary you have to write each and everything. What your if your experience is projected onto that, that is good enough. And what I have included in this is a certain chapters to the minimum safety policy, which has safety policy, management system, site security, and tools, first aid regulations, permit to work, housekeeping, safety training, emergency and evacuation plan, fire protection, PPE, excavation safety, control, storage and use of hazardous materials, incident reporting, and you can say incident reporting, lifting, rigging and hoisting, radiography operations, night working, scaffolds and ladders, temporary electrical supply, welding and cutting, working at height and fall prevention, abrasive wheels, construction, environment control, hazards control, confined space entry, road safety and vehicles operations, reward system, heat stresses, safe practices, disciplinary work, enforcement, safe work inspection and audits, plans a facility project and certain sketches and all this. These are very important. I just repeat it to you because these are included, and the ergonomics I just told which are not included in this. But these are very simple safety policy. For example, as a safety policy, you have to understand policy is. Management system, you have to understand management system. It's all something with site security, very simple. You understand security, the handles, you all deal with that. And first aid regulation, everybody knows, and permit to work means how to go. Where there's a specific industrial work or plant and you are going to work in that area, or some work which requires isolation, which is an isolation which has to be specific. Attention is required for safety. Others, you have to take the permit for that hot work or cold work from operator or authority that's operating that one, that project or that scheme or that plant. Housekeeping is how we have to keep it safe. Cleanliness of house, offices, everywhere. The house is a residential house, it's an office, it's a site, it's whatever they call it. And safety trainings are important for all those people who work on sites. Emergency and evacuation plan is required. You know what is evacuation of emergency, fire protection. So all this I know because these are all detailed in, and I have gone through all this except this about you can just say work inspection audits, and these are left. Plant facility works are left. This I'll go through this one by one, and I think you shall be benefited of that, and it's very significant that you get into that, and which is very you can say. So now it is standard safety, standard safe work procedures that in this I had gone through, but I just remind what we studied as long back. It is what we studied, and that is important here. This is one is standard safety work procedures, and we had studied in this terms used were first is terms used, then introduction, personal protective equipment, safety orientation course and site access, HSE officers, supervisors and HSE officers, language, permit to work, risk assessments, method statements, pre-job discussions, working at heights, men riding baskets, safety harnesses, scaffoldings, ladders, fire protection, hot work, general welding, use of gas and oxygen equipment, compressed air, abrasive wheels, cartridge operated fixing tools, tools and equipment, mechanical plant and equipment, machinery guarding, noise, mobile cranes, lifting equipment, reporting of accident incidents, work in confined spaces, electricity, excavations and openings, control of substances, hazardous to health, radiography, housing and removal of material, employer owner plant equipment and energy sources, in transport, access, first aid, welfare, general is restrictions, site notices, environment registers, that's authorizations, and glossary of terms are the just terms are important for you people. Every time I repeat definitions regarding certain terms. Is safety means safety, health and environment, discipline to support project activities, and now it's also related to ergonomical studies. And company means the organization carrying out or prosecuting a project. Contractor means organization that has one project from client or owner. Subcontractor means an organization that has one project, part of the project work from contractor organization. Client means an organization, an entire company, title company in contractual term that has entrusted project to organization of contractor. Then personal means all personnel involved on project site activities. Responsibility means a job and contract responsibility. Training means a training imparted for specific safety topic on job on project site. Management means organization, top, middle, and lower management. Safety means a person with job title safety manager developed deployed by certain organization. Then project manager means a person such with PM title deployed by contractor. Engineer means a person appointed by client or client company for an overall project responsibility. EPC contractor name of organization. Client is a project owner. Contractor is EPC contractor. Approved by client. Shall means action shall be carried out. PPE means personal protective equipment. Responsibilities in general regarding certain contractual position. Project manager responsible for overall obligations to provide the schedule and resource directions, engineering resolutions. Site manager responsible for overall site prosecution management, overworks and subcontractors. Site safety officer responsible for overall safety management on site and report to project manager. Site manager, corporate safety manager. Construction manager responsible to arrange all safety related resources and provide the site team all requirements. Project site engineer responsible to carry out the safety issues within section. Site safety inspector engineer responsible to supervise the safety measures on site and control the safety issues. Should bring to site line management and adopt the correct measures. Site foreman responsible to compliance of safety measures as standards or as directed. An individual working on site responsible to maintain safety measures in case missing should bring to site team attention and introduction. These instructions are issued to EPC contractor personnel carrying out work on project. They outline health, safety, and environment rules and documents that are required to be followed when undertaking works. And then instructions are produced for use of EPC contractor, management, and supervisor. Supervisory staff who are required to ensure that the rules and documents are brought to notice of all EPC contractor personnel and that such rules and documents are strictly followed. If there is certain doubt and misunderstanding about the contents of these documents, they should be taken up with EPC contractor safety department. All special precautions or more detailed guidance on HSE procedures should be discussed with the client's safety staff or supervisory prior to commencement of work. Personal protective equipment. EPC contractor shall ensure that its employees and those of its lower tier contractors are provided with all necessary protective equipment and that their employees properly wear and store such equipment. EPC contractor shall ensure that personal protective equipment are properly maintained in good order and replaced at no charge when defective or lost or time is due. All protective equipment all protective equipment shall conform to approved standards and shall be fit for intended purpose but should be comfortable in use. EPC contractor employees shall wear personal protective equipment required, otherwise disciplinary action shall be resorted to against employees. Not doing so and where appropriate action may also be resorted to line supervision to allow for allowing workers work as such. Eye protection. Specialist eye protection for operations such as welding, burning, grinding, etc. shall meet the BS, ASDIN or NSI EU standard where full face visors of welding visors supplied. These visors supplied shall be capable of being fitted to safety helmet. Having hearing protection shall consist of disposable earplugs, ear inserts, plugs, or ear muffs which we meet BSDIN, AS or ANSI EU standards. Attenuation characteristics shall be sufficient to reduce noise levels to below 85 dB. Respiratory protection equipment shall be suitable for hazard presented by work scope, that is a potential health problem which could arise. This possible this respirators for nurses thus shall comply with BS, VIN, AS or ANSI standards, which shall have a protection factor of at least 10. Safety footwear shall be to BS, DIN, AS or NSI EU standards. They shall have steel toe caps inserted in boot that is not an exterior of boot. If Wellington boots are required, they shall be to BS, DIN, AS or NSI standards and would have steel toe caps inserted into boots. Gloves, general purpose gloves shall be to BS, DIN, AS or NS EU standards, shall have canvas backs and leather hide palms. Safety harnesses, if required, shall comply with BSO or ANSI EU standards, which shall be fully harnessed. Okay, inertia reels, if required, shall be the BS, DIN or ANSI EU standards, or else wearing of loose clothing or robes on site is not permitted. Remember it. Wearing of loose clothing or robes on site is not permitted. Wearing of loose clothing or robes on site is not permitted. Within construction site, cotton or polycotton overalls or a shirt and trousers shall be worn. Within the construction site, cotton or polycotton overalls or a shirt and trousers shall be worn. Should welding be necessary, welders shall be provided with fire retardant overalls, other PPE. All personal protective equipment shall be meeting to BS, DIN, AS or ANSI EU standards. Types of PPE issues shall be detailed in work method statements, a copy of which shall be given to client site HSE manager. Basic personal protective equipment to be worn by all site employees shall be safety helmet, safety footwear, overalls or shirt and trousers. All EPC contractor personnel shall be readily identifiable either by bearing their company's name or logo on their helmet or overalls. HSE orientation course and site access. EPC ILC contractor now EPC contractor shall ensure that each of their employees attend HSE orientation, induction course organized by site safety supervisor. Contractor shall ensure that all employees shall always carry following documents during period of work at site: valid work permit, original if required, applicable for migrant workers only, photocopy of driving permit, relevant equipment or type of vehicle which may be allowed to drive on site, health, safety and environment officer, safety officer. HSE officers shall be dedicated on site only on health, safety and environmental duties. When I use term dedicated, it means full-time, or you can say has to be present on site full-time, not part-time, or not in visitor's capacity. All visiting HSE officers shall report to site safety manager. EPC contractors HSE officers shall submit on a monthly basis or as required to clients HSE manager a detailed safety HSE report. Supervisors and HSE officers language. Contractor supervisors and HSE officers shall be fluent in English or whatever language is applicable as identified or indicated in contract. English is generally used everywhere because it's not a foreign language. To an extent, communication is concerned. It is question of foreign language because I'm saying it is not used in society but in communication on official documents. That's why I'm calling it professional language, or you can say language that can be used by everyone. Nothing to do with nationality. Permit to work. Its explanation is client's permit to work procedure. Refer to client's permit to work procedure, which is given elsewhere. Even then I'm repeating here what I wanted because Just refreshing is not bad. I'm going to refresh this document for memory, though it was already given to everybody. A permit to work system is a safety document designed to protect personnel and plant. A permit to work system is a safety document designed to protect the personnel and plant. It is issued based on considerations of all technical requirements. Their impacts on personnel, required safety, compliance, essential on activity, concern, and a time limit indicated for its validity. It forms a clear record of all foreseeable hazards which have been considered in advance. Correct operation of system ensures that only one authority issues permit to allow personnel to work. Only authorized supervisors shall request and receive permits. All personnel are aware of safety measures required to be taken. Area affected by work is clearly defined. Period of time during which work may be carried out is clearly defined. Correct protective clothing, equipment provided and used. Responsible management is aware of work in progress. I will repeat these requirements because they are very significant. Only one authority issues permit to allow personnel to work. Only authorized supervisors shall request and receive permits. All personnel are aware of safety measures required to be undertaken. Area affected by work is clearly defined. Period of time during which work may be carried out is clearly defined. Correct protective clothing, equipment provided and used. Responsible management is aware of work in progress. Then arrangements. Contractor project personnel shall comply with permit to work system operated by site. Should a permit to work be required for whatever aspect of contract, work on that particular operation shall not begin until such a permit has been issued with included terms and conditions of permit for compliance. Permits to work shall generally be required for following activities. Entry into equipment Entry into equipment or all confined spaces. Temporary electrical works where electrical isolation documents apply. Excavation below 1.2 meter in depth may be reduced to 0.6 meter in areas of non-buried services. Use of man baskets, external interconnection, internal interconnection. I'm talking of plants. All activities carried out within operating authority controlled areas. In addition to above activities, permits shall be considered for whatever potentially hazardous activity where an extra degree of work controls is felt to be appropriate. In live plant areas and during startup and commissioning activities, additional permits shall be required. Whereas live plant area, risk assessments. Contractor shall produce risk assessments for all works under control. Risk assessment from risk assessment form shall provide client written information on following: identification of all hazards applicable to significant risk activities, details of measures in place to control risks, justifications that existing control measures are adequate, and if not, detailed actions plan about how to control such risks. Then quantitative risks assumptions, QRA. Then method statements among that. Contractor personnel shall submit method statements for all works where client's site HSE manager or site construction manager considers risk from whatever activity to be significant. Works method statement shall contain or detail job to be undertaken, individual activities required completing job, Individual trade disciplines involved in each activity, plant equipment, tool to be used in each activity, substances, chemicals to be used and during which activity to be used, together with a COSH assessments, name of supervisors for each activity, name of person in oral in charge of job, and detailed description of how work shall be done, including control measures, and documents to complete each activity and oral job safely. Pre-job description discussion. Contractor shall ensure that its supervision in direct charge of a job fully briefs or discusses, instructs with personnel carrying out job following issues prior to job commencing. Nature of job, associated hazards, safe working methods to be adopted, requirements of permit to work. Contractor shall also ensure that all its employees are aware of requirements contained within these instructions. Working at heights. I'm just repeating it, and many times I've done, but just better to have a refresher because it's difficult to find the past video in which it was in the waste time. So I'm just repeating that. Doesn't matter. Contractor personnel shall not interfere with access arrangements, scaffolding, ladders, etc. This is working at heights and talking. If a contractor provides its own means of access, such arrangement shall be in accordance with all legal requirements and relevant site standards. Scaffolding shall only be erected or dismantled by suitably trained, qualified, and competent scaffolders. Work which results in openings being recreated where persons can fall from through or removal of side wiring barriers where persons can fall from shall be effectively protected to prevent injury and have a detailed method, statements, work permit, and designated supervisor. Materials, equipments, or plants shall be properly secured to prevent them falling from height. Where there is a danger of falling material, effective preventive steps, that is installation of solid barriers and warning notices, be provided to prevent access, warn people about hazards. Reference should be made to these instructions covering scaffolding, man riding baskets, safety harnesses, etc. where appropriate. Safety harnesses, lifelines, and fall arrests shall be used where staging, scaffolding, or other safe means of access is not practicable. Man riding basket. When carriage of personnel by crane is required, man riding basket shall be suitably tested and have a current test certificate being clearly displayed man riding only. All wire ropes and other attached lifting equipment shall also have an updated test certificate. All cranes used for carrying personnel shall be provided with a dead man's handle facility to ensure that brake is applied when control lever is released. Crane hooks shall be fitted with safety catches or equivalent, and operator to be seated in his cab all times. At no time shall crane be allowed and used in a free fall situation. Cranes shall have power lowering capabilities for carrying men. Limit devices shall be fitted to cranes to ensure that carrier cannot be raised above or highest limit of crane. Limit switch shall be tested daily before raising persons in baskets. All employees using main riding basket shall be secured inside basket by a safety harness. Safety harness shall be secured to master link of supporting sling or to hook of crane. Main riding basket. Man riding baskets may only be used when an appropriate work permit has been issued by authorized person and has been approved by contractor supervision management. Then safety harness if required. Where it is not practicable to provide a standard working platform and working height exceeds 2 meters, full safety harness shall be worn. When working on open steel or erecting, dismantling, cantilever or hanging scaffolding is securely attached the safety harness and where required an inertia reel shall be worn. Safety harness Safety harness shall be approved to BS or ANSI EU standards, be properly maintained and regularly inspected at monthly intervals. A record of such inspection shall be kept by EPC contractor. Where safety lifelines are not adequate, an inertia reel shall be supplied by EPC contractor. An independent examiner, in addition to normal monthly checks, shall carry out 6 monthly examination and certification of inertia reels. Color coding on inertia reels shall be done per lifting equipment requirement. Scaffolding. All scaffolding to be used by contractor personnel must be manufactured to British standards and be erected in compliance with BS 5973-1993 Code of Practice for access and working scaffolds and special scaffold structures. In steel, code can be verified before using that because it's old one. Scaffolding shall not be disturbed. Scaffolding shall not be disturbed or altered by any unauthorized persons. Where alterations are required, authorized scaffolders shall carry out work under competent supervision. Where materials are to be positioned on scaffolding, client must ensure that scaffolding has been designed to carry load, is of adequate strength, and is not overloaded. Scaffolds shall be inspected at weekly intervals by authorized scaffold inspector who sign and date scaffold tag after each inspection. Scaffolding not considered safe would have scaffold tag withdrawn and a prominent do not use sign displayed. A scaffold register shall be kept by authorized scaffold inspector. These must contain date of first and subsequent weekly inspection, individual identifications of all scaffolds, which shall be cross-referenced to clear names and to refers to scaffold tag identity number. I repeat again, individual identification of all scaffolds which shall be cross-referenced to scaffold tag identity number. Clear, clear name and signature of authorized scaffold inspector against each separate scaffold inspector. Clear name and signature of authorized scaffold inspector against each separate scaffold inspected. No scaffold may be erected which impedes normal access or can be accidentally struck by moving plant or cranes without prior consultation with contractor management so that a safe system of work can be agreed upon. If there is a doubt about security of anchorage suspension, points or ties for a scaffold, namely strength of existing buildings, structures, or those under construction, client must ensure safety, sustainability of erection. All scaffolds shall be provided with suitable access and where ladders are used for this purpose shall be of adequate length and properly secured by either lashing or fixing to prevent displacement. Action shall be taken to warn personnel against using partly erected or dismantled scaffolds. A prominent "Do not use" sign shall be clearly displayed. An approved standard for scaffolding shall be issued to scaffolding contractors separately. Rolling scaffolds shall not be considered, rolling scaffolds shall not be constructed with a height greater than 3 times the minimum base width and only be used on paved or prepared surfaces. Hydraulic platforms shall only be worked by approved trained operators. Come to ladders. Only properly manufactured ladders to British standards or equivalent standards shall be used on site. Site assembled ladders of nailed and timbers shall not be permitted. Leathers has been in good condition and free from defects, that's broken rungs, split styles. Leathers shall not be painted to hide the defects. Leathers shall be securely fastened at top and or footed at bottom where fastening is not practicable. Be properly positioned, base extend at least 1 meter 5 rungs above working platform. Be at an angle of 300 mm out of every 1.2 meter vertical drop. Leathers shall be inspected and color coded per requirement per lifting equipment and the record of inspection retained by EPC. EPC contractor. Fire protection. Talking now. Contractors shall ensure that adequate fire precautions are taken whilst carrying out their activities. Adequate fire precautions are provision of correct type of fire extinguisher, normally dry powder, ability of contract employees to use fire extinguishers. EPC contractors shall ensure that their employees are aware of correct procedure to be followed in event of fire, alarm, evacuation situation. Contractor employees shall be made aware of location of and where necessary trained in correct use of fire extinguish equipment, alarm call points, emergency telephones, escape routes and fire exits, assembly points, equipment stopping on alarm. These are points I'm telling you again, it's important. This is regarding fire extinguishing. So it's fire extinguishing equipment. Fire extinguishing equipment. What I'm telling is contractor employees shall be made aware of location of and where necessary if we trained in correct use of such requirements. This is fire extinguishing equipment, alarm call points, emergency telephones, escape routes and fire exits, assembly points, equipment, stopping on alarm. EPC contractors shall ensure that their employees participate fully on client's evacuation drill exercise. Contractor offices or cabins shall have at least one powder type fire extinguisher located at access or exit doors, access or exit doors. No point within any office cabin shall be more than 20 meters from a fire extinguisher. Engine-driven plant brought onto site shall have one dry powder extinguisher mounted on it. And hot work. Hot work is defined as burning. Remember this, very important. Hot work definition. It's very, very useful on plants projects where you work for maintenance or for something else, and you cannot work there without getting either hot work permit or cold work permit. This is mandatory requirement on those facility projects, infrastructure projects, or risky projects, you can say. Hot work is defined as burning, welding, grinding, etc. However, within live plant areas, an activity which could generate a spark is considered a hot work. You mean to say an activity which could generate a spark even is considered a hot work. I just remember an example. For example, I was talking to someone about roof waterproofing, and there was a material, and that is waterproofing membrane. There are a few kinds of waterproof membrane. One was that you had to just apply it in the cold application, just paint it on that, apply bituminous paint and put that on that, and that's called without any. And one was that the other one is that you have to apply fire on that, torch it and put in. So on such plants where fire is expected, torch type membrane was not allowed. This is just an example I'm giving you. You have to use cold applied membrane. Well, there's an example. Such projects do not accept this kind of material. An adequate an adequate amount of dry powder, an adequate amount of dry power fire extinguishers shall be located within close proximity to hot work areas. Now, in areas of high fire risk, where fire risk is too high, a dedicated trained fire watcher, a dedicated trained fire watcher be positioned at work site or risk area. All slag and sparks to be contained within immediate work area. Slag and sparks. Temporary fabrication shelters be, shall be of flame retardant materials, means you cannot use material that can conduct fire. Welding and burning on certain materials. Welding and burning on certain materials may give rise to hazardous fumes. Welding and burning on certain materials may give rise to hazardous fumes. In certain areas, local exhaust ventilation shall be used as agreed between contractor and client. In other more important open areas, respiratory protective equipment must be worn. Must be worn, shall be worn. Welding of galvanized fittings to be avoided, but when required, respiratory protection shall be worn. Now, hot work shall not normally be carried out in office or accommodations area. For hot work in areas ready for startup, a client work permit is required. Now coming to some of the next ones, welding. You see, welding. Hazards during welding activities shall be identified and adequate precautions be resorted to prior to starting actual work, depending on method of welding and surrounding circumstances of work locations. All required safety precautions in accordance to client's HSE procedure or instructions shall be adhered to. Construction manager or superintendents shall ensure that all equipments used in welding activities are fit to intended purposes or suitable to intended purposes, safe for use at site and free from defects. Periodical inspections shall be carried out by engineers, supervisors, and ensure safe and proper use of all equipment. Required service and maintenance are carried out timely to ensure safe operations. Fire retardant overalls and other required PPE shall be used by persons involved in welding and related tasks. Safety officer or supervisor shall be overseeing all activities, make sure all safety procedures are implemented through inspections and on spot corrective instructions delivered if required. Use of gas and oxygen equipment. Where EPC contractor brings their own equipment onto project, such equipment shall comply with approved standards. Cylinders shall comply with BS or equivalent standards as accepted on contract, be in good condition and not suffering from corrosion, be properly colored coded, that is black for oxygen, maroon, acetylene, red, LPG, blue, argon. Just remember, black for oxygen, maroon for acetylene, red for LPG, blue for argon. Argon. Be individually identified. Be accompanied by a valid test certificate. Test certificate. Hoses shall be properly colored, coded to internationally recognized standards. For gas being used, be in a good condition and fitted with hose connectors attached by permanent clips. Check valves and flashback arresters shall be used on both hoses at all times. The equipment used by contractors shall be properly maintained. Suspected leaks may be confirmed by a soap solution. If leak cannot be cured, equipment shall be withdrawn. Users shall check equipment for pressed, damaged hoses, regulators, and pressure gauges, etc. Defects shall be reported to supervisors. Gas cylinders shall not be left lying around. Arrangements should be made to store cylinders in an open mesh fenced compounds before constructing a temporary gas compound or using an existing gas storage area. EPC contractor shall obtain permission from client. Contractor shall provide suitable facilities to minimize manual handling of cylinders. Cylinders shall be borne on trolleys or tied off when on site. Oxygen and fuel gas cylinders shall be kept separate with a minimum separation distance of 5 meters. Cylinders shall never be stored or used in a horizontal position, but shall be secured in an upright position. Empty cylinders shall also be separated from full cylinders. All gas cylinders shall be handled with care, and they shall not be either misused or abused. They shall be properly shut off when not in use, and the is truth. Mm. All gas cylinders shall be handled with care, and they shall not be either misused or fitted when being moved. Great care shall be taken to ensure that gas equipment, including hoses, is not allowed to cause obstruction of roadways, walkways, manholes, ladders, or other means of accesses, where they can cause hazards or be damaged. Hoses not in use should be coiled up and put in a safe place. Hoses should, whenever possible, be supported off ground. Where a operation involves use of gas and oxygen equipment in enclosed or semi-enclosed spaces. Contractor supervision shall carry out frequent checks to ensure that these procedures are all complied with. When the operation involves use of gas and oxygen equipment in enclosed or semi-enclosed areas, contractor supervision shall carry out frequent checks to ensure that these procedures are complied with. During meal breaks and stopping times. Hoses and equipment shall be removed from confined spaces. Oxygen gas or gas cylinders shall not be taken into confined spaces for either use or stranger storage use or storage. Sorry, oxygen or gas cylinders shall not be taken into confined spaces for either use or storage. No modification to tanks or drums which have contained flammable liquid shall be undertaken at site. Torch shall only be lit using a lighter designed for this purpose. Hoses shall be routed to avoid trip hazards or damage. Compressed air. Compressed air. All air receivers and compressors shall be in good condition and properly maintained. All receivers shall be individually identified and marked with their safe working pressure. All air receivers shall be fitted with a properly set pressure relief valve. All compressed air fittings shall be wired and or restrained to prevent them from whipping should coupling be take broken. Only those clamps designed for compressed air service shall be used. Only hose clamps designed for compressed air service shall be used. Worm drive or jubilee clips are not acceptable. Only hose clamps designed for compressed air service shall be used. Compressed air shall never be used for cleaning clothes. Abrasive wheels, all those we have done, but just to refresh you so that you can remember. Abrasive wheels shall be competent to do so as such a given. Contractor employees authorized to change wheels shall be in possession at all times on site of a certificate detailing their appointment in writing. Details of each employee trained shall be entered in a abrasive wheel register on site. Contractor shall produce certificates and registers on request. Machines used to drive abrasive wheels shall be in good condition. Property Machines used to drive abrasive wheels shall be in good condition, properly guarded, and have operating speed clearly marked on them. Pedestals or bench mounted grinders shall have emergency stop button and and be fitted with a properly properly adjusted to us. All handheld grinders shall have a deadman switch. Consider it. Consider cartridge operated fixing tools. If EPC contractor has to bring a cartridge operated fixing tool to site, it shall be according to BS or what's that 4078 or equivalent and ensure safe working procedures according to manufacturer's instruction. Only trained and competent persons shall be entrusted to work with the cartridge operated fixing tools. Supervisors shall be authorizing competent person and ensure safe operation through tasks. All cartridges shall be stored under lock and key. All cartridges shall be stored under lock and key when not in use and shall ensure that no unauthorized pressure persons have around. All cartridges shall be stored under lock and key when not in use and shall ensure that no unauthorized persons have an access to any of tools and cartridges. Required persons involved and affected by operation of such tools would use personal protective equipment. And all hazards related to operations of cartridge operated tools shall be assessed and adequate precautionary measures be implemented for safe operation and which must be explained to all persons involved during toolbox talk. Tools and equipment. Contractor tool and equipment shall be suitable and adequate for intended purpose. Guards and electrical trap switches shall work effectively and not be removed or bypassed. All tools be maintained in safe working conditions. Contractor shall provide suitable storage with suitable racks and bins for storing tools and equipment. A contractor shall nominate or employ services of a competent person, qualified electrician to inspect and tag electrical power hand tools, transformers, distribution boards, extension cables, etc. on an at least at least quarterly basis. Tag shall display name signature of individual inspecting. Hmm. Once again, contractor shall nominate or employ services of a competent qualified electrician to inspect and tag electrical power, hand tools, transformers, distribution boards, extension cables, etc. on an at least quarterly basis. Tag shall display name signature of individual inspecting tool, date of inspection, and we ticked to indicate that tool is safe for use is that after quarterly basis is over, EVM, then the tag shall display name, signature of your individuals. Inspecting tool, date of inspection, we tick to indicate that tool is safe for use. Contractor shall keep on site the register of all electrical power and tools in use, and register shall in detail individual identity number of tool, name, signature of qualified electrician carrying out inspection, date of inspection, remarks on condition of tool and whether repaired or withdrawn from use, no electrical power, enemy tool, shall be used other than it is tagged with a current safe for use tag. Current I think is updated one. All electrical leads shall be connected to power source through standard industrial waterproof plugs and sockets which be in good condition and don't use non-industrial fittings or plugs and sockets. Mechanical plant and equipment. Mechanical plant and equipment includes but is not limited to earth moving plants, very big equipments. Road making plant and equipment, also this is a prime one. Concrete batching plant and mixers of much prime. Forklift trucks, miscellaneous plant including generator or comprehensive. So and say, let's again repeat this very important because these are major tools. Mechanical plant equipment includes but not limited to earth moving plant, road making plant and equipment, concrete batching plant and mixers, forklift trucks, miscellaneous plant includes generators and compressors, power access equipment, namely star lift, cherry picker, etc., and pile driving equipment. Maintenance. All items of mechanical plant transported to project shall be in a safe and sound condition and be properly maintained. A program of regular preventive maintenance shall be established by EPC contractor for manufacturer's hand to ensure that all plants equipments are systematically inspected, maintained, and repaired as necessary. Preventive maintenance program and the contractor's employees responsible actions shall be clearly detailed. A safe system of work shall exist during all maintenance and repair operations to ensure that no part of machinery is set in motion while work is being carried out. Where refueling is required, the facility provided shall be adequately covered by fire extinguishers, either warning signs or incidents. Where refueling is required, facility provided shall be adequately covered by fire extinguishers, earthing, warning signs, bundling, and proper fuel dispensers. All waste oils shall be collected and recycled or safely disposed in accordance with existing regulations of project area. Competency. All drivers and operators of mobile plants mechanically propelled vehicles shall be in possession of appropriate license for class of vehicle they are operating. They operate. All drivers, operators, and banksmen of mobile plants mechanically propelled vehicles shall be trained. Names and license details of all proposed drivers and operators of mobile plant mechanically propelled vehicles along with class of vehicles to be operated shall be readily available with concerned sections supervisor. Names and license details of all proposed drivers and operations of mobile plant mechanically propelled vehicle along with class of vehicles to be operated shall be readily available with concerned section supervisors at sites if required. Next be examined by client. General. Every dangerous part of machinery shall be securely guarded. Guards removed for maintenance or repair purposes shall be replaced before machine is set in motion. Guards removed from maintenance or repair purposes shall be replaced before machine is set in motion. No mobile plant mechanically propelled vehicles shall carry passengers unless a proper fixed seat is provided. Mobile plant Mobile plant mechanically propelled vehicles shall be parked on firm level ground where an unattended engine stopped, brakes on and some load or attachment lowered to ground. Mechanically propelled vehicles shall be parked on firm level ground. When an unattended engine stopped, the brakes on and some load or attachment lower to ground. No mechanical plant or equipment shall be sited on or operated on some area or project if objected to by client. All drivers, operators of mobile plant mechanically propelled vehicles shall strictly obey instructions of security, traffic regulations, and speed limits. A banksman to be in attendance during all chardas reversing movements. Flame arresters. All mobile plant for use in live plant areas during startup and commissioning phase of project shall be diesel driven and fitted with exhaust flame arresters. Machinery guarding. Unauthorized persons shall not operate, interfere, or tamper with EPC contractor plant or equipment. Oh, so much. Machinery guarding. So just putting some. Unauthorized persons shall not operate, interfere, or tamper with EPC contractor or plant equipment. Persons authorized to use machines shall first check that guards are in position and that all other safety devices and emergency stops are in working order. All plants or equipment brought onto client premises shall be properly guarded to prevent injury. Sorry, actually. mm, So, the observation that I'm saying, persons authorized to use machines shall first check that guards are in position and that all other safety devices, namely emergency stops, are in working order. All plants or equipment brought onto premises shall be properly guarded to prevent injury. No guard or fence may be removed from machinery. Noise. Ear protection zones shall be clearly identified. EPC contractor or contractor shall ensure that their employees are provided with and use suitable approved hearing protection when working in these zones. EPC contractor shall ensure that noise levels produced are as low as is reasonably possible. Contractor shall advise client if they anticipate excessive noise levels from their operations so that all reasonable practicable precautions can be taken to protect persons who may be affected by. Where noise levels from operations exceed 85 decibel, all employees involved in operation shall be supplied with suitable approved hearing protection. Mobile cranes. All cranes shall carry relevant test certificates and thorough examination reports together with manufacturer's handbook. This document shall be submitted to client for inspection before shipment to site. And just for information, these test certifications, of course, are done by manufacturers, must also be done by third party. Only persons who are competent and authorized by contractor to be allowed to operate cranes. Contractor shall be able to prove to satisfaction of client regarding competence of their employees to operate such equipment prior to being used. Crane operators or other competent persons shall carry out daily inspections and enter reports or observations on their crane register. Maintenance program in accordance with manufacturer's specifications is in schedule for all EPC contractor cranes equipment. Travel routes for cranes and crane standing be agreed with a responsible person of client in order to avoid damages to such existing services, items as overhead lines and other structures, underground services, excavations made of ground, etc. Crane capacity charts, load radius tables. Load radius tables. Actually, there's some confusion on that to people, but chart load means moment also included in that. Radius is direct, but moment related to load is very significant. That's called bending moment, or you may call it whatever moment. In applied mechanics, it's called bending moment. Load, vertical load multiplied by distance from where it's operated, means operator's position, shall be displayed on and should attained on crane for easy reference. All cranes should be fitted with safe load indicator, reverse warning audible alarm, crane hooks with safety catches, all of which shall be serviceable, must be serviceable. Rigging and de-rigging of crane components. Rigging and de-rigging of crane components, including fly jibs, only be done under supervision of a competent lifting supervisor and in compliance to manufacturer's specifications. A lifting supervisor shall be appointed to oversee all lifting operations. Lifting supervisors must ensure that adequate ground bearing capacity is available for lifting operations before setting locations, stations of crane. Again, I am repeating, this is very important point from operating and accidental prevention viewpoint. Lifting supervisor must ensure that adequate ground bearing capacity is available for lifting operations before setting locations or locating station of cranes. Bearing capacity is a term which one must be known. Load accepted or sustained by ground per square meter must be known, but no one can make tests there, conduct tests there, but based on experience, you may understand what sort of soil is that where crane is going to operate. Because we have to make sure that if soil is weak, crane may sink there itself, which has to be avoided. Well, just this is something I wanted to explain to those who are not related to civil construction. For them, it is very important on making the first bearing capacity works. Lifting equipment. All lifting equipment used by contractors to be tested and examined for a valid certification. Equipment be properly marked with an identification number, giving safe working load, and be color coded by contractor to client's specifications. Copy of all test and examination certificates will be available on contractor premises for inspection by client's representative or visiting authority or TPC. Third party certification should be there. A register of all lifting equipment used by contractor shall be maintained. EPC contractor shall nominate a competent employee charged with ensuring lifting equipment properly inspected and maintained. Nominated employee shall receive all lifting gear on its arrival on site and ensure its proper storage in a rigging store and shall ensure a valid certificate accompanying each item of lifting gear and keep all such certificates for examination by client whenever required. Enter in details of all lifting equipment received on site into register, which must have details of lifting gears, identification number, and safe working load. Register all issues of lifting gears. Webbing is a nylon sling. Webbing a nylon sling shall be issued for one job only and must be returned on completion of that job. Defective lifting equipment shall be withdrawn immediately from service and returned to nominated employee. No item of lifting gear shall or be used to support a load greater than safe working load of lifting gear. Lifting equipment and other lifting appliances belonging to contractor shall only be used by contractor personnel. Reporting of accidents, incidents. EPC contractor shall ensure that their employees report all injuries immediately to client or owner, and contractor personnel shall comply fully with reporting of accidents and incidents procedures. Details of all accidents/incidents be given to client, and contractor's HSE officer should conduct an investigation and notify clients of his findings. The client shall, where applicable, inform authorities. So then, of course, come to work in confined spaces. It's not in which says the contractor personnel shall be required to work in confined spaces. Should work of this nature become necessary, separate safety procedures shall be produced, which we usually explained before. Electricity. Electricity be provided for contractor in accordance with the terms and conditions of a contract. Contractor shall not interfere with or work on any client's electrical installation. All necessary precautions to avoid accidents, contact with the live conductors, etc. All equipment shall be treated as live unless isolated or locked off and dead. Repair of installation of electrical equipment shall only be carried out by a competent qualified electrician. Tool plant or equipment exceeding 110 volt or 55 volt to earth. Pool plant or equipment exceeding 110 volts or 55 with earth shall be double insulated. So double insulated connection to an earth overlay. Tools, plants, or equipment exceeding 110 volts shall be doubly insulated, connected to an earth leakage circuit breaker (ELCB) and only used by authorized person. Cable management to avoid tripping hazard be implemented. Excavation and openings. All excavations and openings be shored or better to a safe angle of repose, dependent on material and ground conditions. Angle of repose, I think you know, and if you do not, I just say put material on ground naturally in a stack and see what angle it stops in collapsing, and that angle between ground and stability state of that material is called angle of repose. All edges shall be protected, the barriers be erected to ensure personnel and vehicles do not inadvertently encroach to edge of excavation. Ladder shall be placed in all excavations to allow safe access and egress. And warning signs and tape shall be placed to identify all excavations. Spoil shall be stored in distance of at least 1 meter from edge of excavation. You can go to see sketches that have been put on this file, and you can see the sketches. They talk about many things, including excavation safety, so that everything be clear to you. Control of wait a minute. Ladder shall be placed in all excavations to allow safe access and egress. Warning signs and tape shall be placed in identified excavations, and spoils shall be stored in distance of at least 1 meter from edge of excavation. Control of substances hazardous to health. COSHH. Hazardous substances include flammable liquid or substance likely to give rise to toxic, corrosive, irritant, or harmful risk. No hazardous substances shall be brought onto site without approval of a client or site HSE manager. A copy of safety data sheet, material safety data sheet, or substance they shall be handed to client prior to substance arriving at work site. Substances be kept to minimum. These substances be kept to minimum, be securely locked or fenced off, have appropriate warning notices affixed to storage facility, have no speaking notices affixed to storage facility where flammable substances are stored, have firefighting extinguishers appropriate to substance and other emergency equipment, including spill equipment. Once again, have firefighting extinguishers appropriate to substance and other emergency equipment, including spill equipment located nearby containment area. Substances shall be held in secure appropriate containers with substance clearly identified on exterior of container. All containers holding hazardous substances shall have their lids replaced. Mm. Only minimum, all containers holding hazardous substances have their lids replaced as soon as they are not in use. Only minimum quantities required shall be removed from approved store at the end time. All containers holding hazardous substances shall have their lids replaced as soon as they are not in use. Only minimum quantities required should be removed from approved store at one time. Contractor shall complete its cost assessment. Contractor shall complete cost assessment and ensure that users of substances are properly informed, instructed, and trained in hazards and control measures to be used. Contractor shall ensure that relevant training records are made. Empty containers should be removed as soon as possible and arrangements made for their safe. Ensure that relevant training records are made when empty containers shall be removed as soon as practical. Empty containers, containers shall ensure that relevant training records are made and empty containers shall be removed as soon as possible and arrangements made for their safe disposal. Hazardous substances shall not be discharged into ground or into water drains where they can cause pollutions to other environment. Okay. Hazardous substances shall not discharge on the ground or the water drains where they can cause pollution or an explosion. Hazardous substances disposed of shall be kept separate from normal waste and disposed of as approved by client or law. All containers storing hazardous substances shall bear international hazards symbols. Products containing PCBs are polychlorinated biphenyls. Product containing polychlorinated biphenyls and asbestos shall not be used. And then radiography. Should some radiography work become necessary, UK Construction Code of Practice be followed. All personnel, including visitors, shall be informed of hazards and procedures for safe handling of all hazardous material which they may encounter on their work, or adequate arrangements be made on site for receipt and storage of radioactive sources. All personnel, including visitors, shall be informed of hazards and procedures for safe handling of all hazardous materials which may encounter on their work. Adequate arrangements be made on site for receipt and storage of radioactive sources. Complete data/details of radioactive sources be made available at site and to parties affected. Required warnings and safety requirements be implemented in accordance with safety requirements. Required warnings and safety requirements shall be implemented in accordance with safety equipment requirements of radiology procedures. Exclusive zones operations be established and identified during operations with due precautions to protect persons and materials affected, housekeeping and removal of material. Contractors keep their work areas tidy and not allow rubbish or scrap to accumulate everywhere or somewhere. If a storage area is required, approach shall be made to client so that a request can be made considered and where appropriate an area could be allocated for this purpose. Waste shall be disposed of as agreed with client. Hazardous waste hazardous waste shall hazardous waste shall be properly contained, identified and segregated from other waste. All waste be disposed of as agreed. Hazardous waste shall be properly contained, identified and segregated from other waste. Combustible rubbish is, shall be combustible rubbish shall be disposed of at the end of each shift or more regular, regularly if necessary. A dedicated housekeeping crew will located to keeping work areas clean and tidy. Client, plant, equipment and energy sources. Contractors shall not use or operate plant, equipment or energy source belonging to client unless an authorized person has given permission in writing. Authorization is given to connect tools or equipment to client's energy sources. Contractors shall ensure that they employ competent workmen who are familiar with appropriate functioning of plant equipment. Transport. Only those vehicles necessary for construction operations be permitted to enter construction site. Vehicles shall be roadworthy. All vehicles shall be roadworthy and conform to legal requirements. All vehicles be well maintained and and well maintained. Exhaust emissions shall exhaust emissions shall be clean with no visible black smoke. Contractor shall ensure that only licensed and authorized by personnel are allowed to drive vehicles. Loads be within safe limits specified for vehicle and as far as is reasonably practicable should not project beyond vehicle body to avoid hazard other vehicles, pedestrians or adjacent structures. Passengers shall not be carried unless a proper seat is provided. Personnel shall not be permitted to get on or off vehicle whilst it is in motion. General use vehicles shall not be parked in such a manner as to block access or emergency points. All drivers of vehicles be in possession of appropriate valid license for class of vehicle they drive, they operate. Vehicles driven locally outside project complex only use route designated by client to avoid damaging local environment and comply with regulations. Vehicles serving project shall, where reasonably practicable, be restricted to driving on public highways during daylight hours. Access. The contractor vehicle and cranes be used shall be used recognize the safe roads and access point work. Again, vehicles and cranes shall only be used by recognized safe road and access point to work areas. Only authorized routes shall be used to inform government. Only authorized routes shall be used. No road shall be closed off without approval from client and issue of a road closure permit. Road closure permit is also required. First aid facilities. Qualified first aid person be engaged on site at all times during work, all times during work activities. They shall be identified to all contract personnel, whether of employees, compliance with industrial practice. Contractors shall comply with all measures required to provide for health, safety, and welfare of their employers. Toilet facilities. Don't take it as a joke, it's a facility. Toilet facilities, showers and wash hand basins, sanitary conveniences should be provided in minimum ratio of 1 per 25 for first 100 and 1 per 35 above 100. Washing facility should be provinced. Washing facilities should be provided in minimum ratio 1 per 35. Proper sufficient light and ventilation, air conditioning shall be provided. All toilets and other sanitary facilities shall be kept clean and in working order. Floors, walls, and ceilings be sanitary. Sorry. All toilets and other sanitary facilities shall be kept clean and in working order. Proper and sufficient light and ventilation of air conditioning shall be provided. Floors, walls, and ceilings of sanitary conveniences be of such a finish that can be easily cleaned, and all sanitary conveniences in washrooms shall have a window opening to outside air or be provided with ventilation systems which changes air at least 6 times per hour. 6 times air change. It's not very big, however, it is best. Proportion of window surface shall not be less than 10 to 10%. Proportion of window surface shall not be less than 10% of floor area. Same thing applies to building. I think 10% to ventilation of floor area is a must everywhere. So it's the same thing for this, no real difference. Closets, lavatories, and urinals, sinks, and showers be made from materials which facilitate cleaning. Showers and lavatories shall be provided with an adequate supply of water. Floor of shower shall have adequate drainage, have non-slip surfaces. Non-slip surfaces are very important. And be made of material to prevent fungus infection of feet. Hot and cold water to all. Hot and cold water to all wash basins and showers. We provide liquid soap in dispensing containers. Be supplied to all community sanitary conveniences. All wastewater, including floor washing water, must be connected to a sewage disposal drain or to fully enclosed holding tank. Water and sunshades. Contractor ensure that supply of cold potable water for drinking together with shaded rest areas are provided for their employees. General restrictions. Intoxicating liquor and drugs restricted. No employee, no employee shall be permitted to enter site under influence of intoxicating liquor or drugs. Possession or consumption of drugs other than for medicinal purposes or whatever alcoholic liquor on site is strictly prohibited. And conduct. Contractor shall ensure that all persons under its control shall conduct themselves in a safe, orderly, and seemingly manner on project and not indulge in hooliganism or horseplay. Contractors shall take such steps as should be practical to make their employees aware of local community requirements, social aspects, and respect of local culture. Notices. Contractor comply with all official notices on site issued by owner or client and obtain their permission before erecting certain notices or direction signs. Environment. Contractors shall comply with environmental requirements within project HSE plan, as we discussed already, and registers. Registers shall be recorded on site. There's inspection of lifting gear, inspection tests of cranes, other lifting machines, inspection of electrical power and tools, and authorization. Following persons shall require authorization from contractor site management during their work: drivers, operators of mobile cranes, drivers, operators of mobile plants, mechanically propelled vehicles, banksmen for mobile cranes, persons authorized to change wheels, drivers of cars, lorries, vans, pickups, fire watches, first abiders. First abiders. This is regarding this. And then we have to go to other one. This is inspections and audit. Inspection and audits. This chapter is 33 HSE inspection and audits, which is a very technical one for significant understanding. This I'm going to start with now. and this is same as scope, purpose, definitions, responsibilities, instructions, references, attachments, and it's just as repeated as before. It applies to all construction site operations and activities being carried out by contractor and their subcontractors on project. Purpose of this is procedure is to outline various arrangements to be followed for inspecting and auditing HSE conditions on site and at subcontractors' premises where project work is being carried out. The procedure has been based on practical case studies from brown field projects involving onshore construction engineering and can be considered as sample to understand procedure involved. Attachments tabulations have been included at end for indicative information purpose only and not as reference. And I also put a URL of this document on the script and it's posted on video. You can just download this file when you wish. Definitions are as I given below before definitions regarding certain terms. Safety means safety, health, and environment disciplines to support project activities, and company means the organization carrying out the prosecuting project, and contractor means the organization that's been the got project from client. Subcontract means a party that has been awarded further work to by contractors. Client means organization and title company in contractual terms as entrusted project to organization of contractor. Personal means all personnel involved in project site activities, including all companies working there, organizations, subcontractors, etc. Responsibility means job and contract responsibility. Training means training part of a specific safety topic on job and project site. Management means organization, top, middle, and lower management. Safety manager means a person with job title. Safety manager deployed by certain organization. Project manager means a person such would be entitled deployed by contractor. Engineer means a person appointed by client or client company for an overall project's responsibility. And contractors, EPC contractor, employer, project owner. HSE inspections shall constitute regular and formal review of site activities to confirm compliance with HSE procedures. The HSE audits shall verify and document compliance with requirements of HSE plan procedures and highlight all deficiencies if found. Again, I repeat, HSE audits shall verify and document compliance with requirements of SHE plan procedures and highlight all deficiencies if found. Responsibilities responsibilities regarding various categories in general respecting certain contract positions. Project manager, I'm talking of contract positions, which means these posts or these positions or these job titles are entered are indicated within contract itself or contract conditions itself. Means these personnel must be there on that project which is under consideration. Therefore, I'm calling this contractual positions, means binding positions, no other option there. Project manager responsible for overall obligations to provide schedule, all resources, directions, engineering resources. Site manager responsible for overall site prosecution management, overworks, and subcontractors. Site safety officer responsible for overall safety management on site and report to project manager or site manager or corporate safety manager. Construction manager responsible to arrange all safety related resources and provide site team all requirements. Project site engineer responsible to carry out safety issues within section. Site safety inspector engineer responsible to supervise the safety measures on site and control safety issues should bring to site line management or to adopt correct measures. Site foremen responsible for compliance of safety measures as standards are as directed. Individual working on site responsible to maintain safety measures in case missing should bring to site team attention. Responsibilities as usual, but because this is quality audit, I'm just repeating. Everything should be clear. Every content of this must be clear. It's the talk of inspection and audits, which is a very significant one. So site manager responsible for ensuring that all overall requirements understood well and followed by all parties. HSE manager responsible for ensuring following this, that contractor, supervision and subcontractor management are familiar with this procedure, which could form a part basis of site safety induction. Prepare a schedule of implementation of audits and inspections with all subcontractors. HSE representatives shall define dates and times, attending personnel and area topics to be covered. Carry out monthly specific audits and inspections consistent with scope of work and in line with audit schedule. Subcontractor superintendents and supervisors in charge of work areas shall participate in regular inspections and audits being carried out. Subcontractors such as a representative coordinate with attendance of participatory personnel for conducting site inspection. Contractor site HSE manager shall audit project at quarterly and otherwise decided by project. Instructions. Site HSE representative to ensure that arrangements are in place on construction site for carrying out HSE audits and inspections on works. These be in accordance with EPC contractor construction project procedures and safety requirements. HSE manager to carry out periodic audits to assess implementation of organization's core processes and site-specific processes. Site-specific procedures. Additional audits or specific inspections be carried out as necessary to support project. HSE inspections. Regular HSE inspections be conducted carried out on works in accordance with EPC contractors project procedures. Action plan be developed by site HSE representative to include all areas of work and workforce, including all subcontractors. Inspections be conducted at least weekly and be based on pro forma provided on attachment. Results of all inspections be documented. So, results of all inspections be documented and issued to site manager, employer site representative. Now, final HSE audits. Formal HSE audits on works be carried out by a joint contractor team per contract requirements. HSE audit schedule. Schedule of site HSE audits and inspections be developed by site HSE representative to cover items listed to number 7.4, attachment 7.4. Well, this is a matter for you, which may be on an area by area basis and issued to employer for review and comment. HSE audit team. Employer shall designate an HSE audit team consisting of employers, HSE, and op- operating representatives and their EPC. Employer shall designate HSE audit team consisting of employers, HSE, and operating representatives and EPC contractor as representative who will adhere. Who will adhere. Employer shall designate an HSE audit team consisting of employers, HSE, and operating representatives and EPC contractors representative who shall address following issues. HSE team leader, agreeing timing of HSE audit, refer to audit schedule, review and approve final recommendations for modification or additions resulting from HSE audit, review and approve implementation of approved actions arising from HSE audit items. Then audit activities. This is a long document actually, not very long but long. HSE audit team members shall prepare details of scope of each audit, organize suitable information and documentation, that is specifications, drawings, checklists, etc. for reference during audit. HSE audit be conducted and a report/statement produced within 14 days of audit completion. Report shall include a punch list of items that are considered deficient, which would require remedial actions. HSE audit shall be conducted and the report statement produced within 14 days of audit completion. Report shall include a punch list of items that are considered deficient, which shall require remedial actions before acceptance. Punch list shall be reissued within 24 hours of audit completion. Photographs shall be taken as necessary and included with HSE audit report statement. Audit report statement. Follow-up audits and inspections be conducted or carried out to confirm that punch list items have been rectified and cleaned. Such audits shall be planned and pre-planned on HSE audit schedule. EPC contractors, consultants, construction site, superintendent and subcontractors, supervisors in charge of work areas shall necessary follow-up audits and inspections shall be carried out to confirm that all punch list items have been rectified and cleared. Such audits shall be planned and pre-recorded in HSE audit schedule, EPC contractor construction site. EPC contractor construction site. Superintendent and subcontractor supervisors in charge of work areas and necessary participate in the interview. APC contractor shall receive, review, comment, and implement punch lists prepared by HSE audit team and initiate necessary actions for designs, modifications, site remedial work, etc. Site manager shall discuss and agree priorities and impact on remaining construction activities. References and attachments are mentioned. References are none. Attachments are HSE audit team checklist, area safety inspection checklist, safety inspection action plan format, monitoring and surveillance program. Again, repeat audit team checklist. One is checklist. Then second is area safety inspection checklist. Then safety inspection action plan format, monitoring and surveillance program. So let's start with HSE audit team. This is audit checklist. In this are two columns. One is item number, others activity. One item must say 1, 2, 3 like that. Activity describes very simply. And this is for industrial plant. Says equipment installed in accordance with approved area classification. That's number one. And is number two is flare fence installed. This is depending upon what type of plant was there. So these are actually contents of project. Three is handrails and toe bolt installed. Four is adequate and unobstructed easels, adequate and unobstructed easels, walkways and headroom available, minimum of 2 stairways and or ladder are uh, adequate and unobstructed easels, walkways and headrooms available, minimum of 2 stairways and or ladders for all operating platforms. Pressure relief devices installed. Next is atmospheric vents installed sufficiently high to avoid injury to personnel from hot or toxic releases. Atmospheric vents properly positioned with respect to prevailing wind. Then fireproofing installed. Then blast resistant walls and blowout panels installed where enclosed equipment has potential dangers of explosion. Adequate dikes installed around storage of flammable materials, then adequate ventilation installed in building containing flammable material. Uninterrupted power supply system UPS installed, double valve installed in cryogenic services where a valve may freeze with double valve installed in that area. Ready and safe access, particularly during an emergency, to valves, instruments, particularly during an emergency, to valves, instrument, switchgear and equipment, ladders and stairways located away from potentially hazardous areas. Next is emergency escape routes identified and emergency lighting installed. Ladders and stairways located away from potentially hazardous areas emergency escape routes identified, emergency lighting installed, adequate fire and gas detection system installed, adequate fire water system installed, battery limit block valves installed, guards installed around moving parts of equipment, HSE showers and eye wash stations, and electrical isolation and lockout system installed, lighting arrestor system installed, lighting arrestor system installed, grounding system installed, warning signs installed, review process and utility designs to ensure that whatever failure results in a safe condition. This is regarding checklist, which was checklist is HSC audit in team checklist initial learned. And go to the next one. This is subcontractor area safety inspection. This is formal like date, area subcontractor inspection and team and then position, etc. etc. There. Go to safety administration. And there are column in this. This is very poor to excellent, and then possible score and actual score. In very poor to excellent, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 columns, sub columns, and possible score and actual score. You can see the file is available there. Saying safety administration. This is management command communication, bulletins, memos, whatever you call it, is something like that. Management communication, toolbox talks. I'm just repeating sequences and then in columns values to be filled in. So safety administration says, for example, management communication, there's bulletin or memos. Then toolbox talks, then management inspection, then task talks, then specialized training, notice boards and publicity, supervisory roles define and follow up remedial actions, constitution of job. In this, for example, column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and possible score and actual score. Possible score is given like this. For example, in number 1, this is management communication, bullet members of 10 is given, then toolbox of 20 it is given. So various that 20, 20, 10 like this, and total is 120. So existing one is 120, and 119 is. So these scores you have to enter in this and evaluation made up according to site conditions. This is just a directive chart here. You can read in your file when you open that. Then safety administration assessment is total. After that, health and welfare. This was only for a safety administration. And there is health and welfare, which is drinking water and cups, toilet facilities, washing facilities, first aid and medical facilities. This is for health and welfare assessments. Same thing, marks or scores given in that. For example, in this way given, drinking water in cups 20, expected one. That is 20 is, that is one possible scores. It is 20 in this. Toilet facilities 15 given. Washing facilities 15 given. First aid and medical facilities 20 given. So in this is also wet work is highest, you see, toilet and washing, and this is 15 and 30. In this is given. After that, if you go to next one, this is access, yes, working places. Is working places, and that is leathers inspected. Leathers inspected is 10, taken 10 here. Leathers used 10, 20 here, and ramps general access, and then stairways properly built, and after that scaffolds for the ramps also, ramps, general access stairways properly built, scaffolds erection, grand rails, kick blades, guard poles, and then kick plates, housekeeping. This is access egress working places assessment. So total in this is 120, and accordingly this chart is we filled. Go to personal protective equipment. For example's name is head protection 20 here, eye protection 20, foot protection 20, hearing protection 20, respiratory protection 20, hand protection 20, safety harnesses 20, then specialist protection 20, total PPEs our equipment. This total is 160. Then excavation, see, sloped, benched, short. Sloped, benched, short. It's given 15 in this case. Barriers, warnings 15, spoil clearance 15, access egress 15, man machine 15, adjacent structures 15, UGC valley veritized excellent. And total is 100 here. Excavation assessment. Go through. So excavations, how many points are there? Sloped, benched, showed, barriers, warnings, spoil clearance, access egress, man-machine interface, adjacent structures, uses. And go to the next one, lifting plant and equipment checklist. This is also a different one. Cranes, general condition, hoist winches, excavators. So in cranes and general condition are taking 20, hoist winches 20, excavators 10, conditions of wire ropes 10, certified equipments 20, conditions of structural hooks 20, storage of lifting equipments 20. Right. So conditions of wire ropes 10, certified equipment 20, conditions of shackles, hooks 10, storage of lifting equipment 10, work vehicle condition 10, back of alarms 10, tires, brakes and lights, and, and competent and approved openings. This is 20 and total is considered 135. Now go to electrical system. Temporary electrics 20, residual current devices, earth leakage breakers 20, warning signs posted 10, cable management 10, fittings and connections 20, total electrical system assessment is 80. Compressed gases, proper storage separation, that is 10, then condition of cylinders 10, all are 10 in this. Color coding 10, warning signs 10, flashback arrests 10, fire extinguishers 10, cylinders secured, chain and trolleys 10, hose conditions 10, sparks containers 10, compressed gas assessment is 90. Hand and power tools, all this done in this, and correct tools provided used, storage, cartridge operated tools, trained operators 10, also correct voltage 10, maintenance 10, cable hose conditions 10, hand and power tools assessment is 70. This is not assessment actually, this is score which I given down, this is in column was a possible scores, not mandatory score, possible scores. So next was is 7 is lifting plant. I think which are the electrical press systems, compressed gases, so then hand power tools and working at heights. Yes, working at heights. No, this is hand and power tools. Okay, 70, 90. So working at height. This is erection properly supervised 20, line anchor points provided 10, PPE harness used 10, safe access 10, weather limitations 10, tag time used. So working at height is 70. Environment, environmental conditions, noise control, I can say 15. Road maintenance is 15. Pollution control is 15. And dust suppression is 20, 15. And heat exhaustion is 20. Environmental pollution is 20. This environmental controls, since road is included, noise is included, and pollution and dust suppression, heat exhaustion, environmental pollution, all are included in this, and this is about 100. In painting, grid blasting, go further and see painting, grid blasting. Grid blasting is very important here. There is remove something or hard surfaces, it's called. And ventilation is 15 there, contaminant screening is 15, everything is 10 in this case, and communications is 15. And then flammable materials of 15, 10 I think PPE, 15 to total is 80. The printing, grid printing, painting, and grid blasting assessment. As housekeeping, and this is skipping. There's a good site layout, you may say good site layout is 20, materials stacked is 15, lay down area, material storage is 20, timber detailed is whatever it is, 20, 15 or 20. Then walkway, working platform, capped clear is 20. Housekeeping arrangements effective is 20. Housekeeping assessment is 110. Then special activity. Pressure testing, barrier signs are say 20. Radiography 20, heavy lifts 20, hazardous substance 20, other unconsidered, and specialist activities assessment 80. Line management. Adequate supervision 20, commitment 20, Near miss reporting, 15 incident follow up, 20 incident follow up, 15 safety awareness, 20 toolbox top 20. So line management assessment is 110. In this is important was commitment. Of course, everything is important, every line is important, but commitment is commitment. You can say carries with it all others. If you are committed, you will do supervision, you will do near miss, you will do incident follow up, and awareness and toolbox. All commitment. After this are action plans, which will take up, of course, will take up. Next one is now what we have so far gone through in this series of safety, health, and environment linked to ergonomics are various chapters from elementary profile to middle profile and to advanced profile. All profiles are important. Errors can be made everywhere. Mistakes can be made everywhere. But important things are procedures which we have to understand. These procedures are not perfect everywhere, not typical, but indicative only. Nothing can be made typical or repetitive or reiterative. Just a guideline that can answer your questions only depending upon your project and its elements which result out activities. This depends upon what sort of project is there. It could be RCC building, structural, steel, precast or pre-stressed or some other. It's not only for buildings actually, it's for all projects. It could be bridges or something where specialist technologies are involved, specialist builders are involved. It could be some other work, but generally higher level works are involved. Height working activities are more significant than others, where we have to go just up to 2 meters or 1.5 meters, the people don't care much. Or same, you go down in pit up to 1.4 meter, 5 meter, 2 meters, not much considered, because they consider if you fall there, then you may not be exposed to the intense danger. But if you go up buildings or in towers or somewhere else, there is possibility that you will be meeting dangers, calculated dangers as well as unexpected dangers. And their safety is of topmost significant, even if it's one-story building or two-story building or whatever height be there, external work or internal work. Safety is very serious business there, very serious business. By chance, little ignorance and you are out. But there should be strict control on that. Controls are there, but even controllers lack some time, because this job is not very interesting, not very pleasing, it's actually boring. But jobs are always boring in majority of cases. So safety is a different kind of discipline, a subject that keeps you detracted. Everybody thinks I have to do fast. Every worker thinks I have to do fast. Every worker dominates. I am responsible for myself. This I have personally experienced on many projects. Whatever nationality you are, humanity, human psychology is same. Sometimes people feel wise telling every time, I don't know this, I know this. But I have to use my hard hat, I have to use my safety shoes, I have to use this and that. But despite knowing this, people ignore. And that's the reason people are there. It's better stop person rather than subjecting that person to fall. But for that, who has to be careful? Either head on site, project engineer, project manager, or who are responsible for that. You cannot leave every surveillance activity to be conducted by safety personnel only. Safety personnel is there for dedication, for full-time duty, but hierarchy says you have to keep a focused eye from distance, though everybody is responsible for safety. But because police will put you in jail as project engineer or manager if somebody dies there. It happens. Police will not ask any question. If it's a death case, accident case, certainly something shall happen because there has been negligence, there has been a criminal act, they will consider it criminal act, certainly. And you will have to land behind bars. Maybe you may come out later, but you have to go there once. Therefore, you have to decide, just like it happens in quality assurance, it happens in safety management. In quality assurance, if some scaffolding falls, or some shutterings out, or some structure collapses, you would go certainly to your great house. You have to go there. Later on, what happens, who knows? But I remember one case in Doha, that one. It happened in many cases. People were in jail for many months and they could not get bails even because of quality issues or safety issues. They suffered for many months. So if you want to see that consequences, you want to wait for that one, that is your choice, your option. But you have to do a little work, maybe 2-3% of your total time or even less. Important thing is communication of what is required to be done on each activity, safety wise or quality wise. That procedure in, you can say, good language, communicative language, be transmitted to online, or you can say line management, where foreman is supervising or supervisor supervising or charge and supervising. If that information is provided to that person in time advancement and explained clearly to crew, and they understand that, don't shy telling second time, third time, instruct your people. Don't shy, they repeat it and ask questions. Once you train team, your crew for say concrete pouring or for fixing or for whatever other activity, once they understand, they can be called trained people. It doesn't mean you have to go to university or institution to get training. Site itself is a training platform. It may be brown project or green project, doesn't make a difference. You are their teacher, and your teacher is document. Your teacher are codes and your own device methods. You devise your method. If you are authority yourself, issue it, approve it, or you are not authority, you are working on behalf of contracting company, you have to propose, approve yourself, and then transmit it for further approval. And that must then be circulated to all those who are supervising as well as those who are executing, and yourself. All have to make sure. It's not, you can say, a line on stone. You can amend whatever you want to amend depending upon your proposal and convenience. Don't keep yourself in hard binding. It should be flexible, but must meet requirements and safety and quality. If you change it, change it. Because everything can be done and every activity can be performed in a number of ways. You try once, you try second, and you reach best one. And that training must be given to workers. Once they are trained, this is called skill development. You are developing your skill, you are developing contractor's skill, you are developing engineer's skill, and you are developing workers' most important person on site whose force, whose efforts shall support you on work. Because without workers' efforts, engineers do not mean anything. You have to train them and use them for your own support. That is what's required. And that is very difficult, time consuming job because you have to teach all, not one. You have to teach foreman, supervisor, junior engineers, site engineers, crane operators, machine operators, workers, charge hands, everybody, and suppliers also, and your management on. And if possible, you can teach anybody in writing, in coordinating. It applies at every activity. I don't want to say further because my message is very clear. Do not sleep, work point to point, coordinate point to point, and transmit message clearly and keep a surveillance on that. Surveillance is very important. What you can see from distance, you cannot see exactly on site because you can know what can be wrong there and you can find and discover that. And I'll continue next one. Thank you very much for this talk. This same list will continue and we'll take other ones. Thanks once again, all engineers, whoever they have joined, will be there.